Hello everybody, welcome back to the stream. Good to see you. So today we're going to be finishing up the innate abilities that I want to add to the various large items. Yesterday we couldn't quite do that because I needed to make some changes to an underlying system, but I think that's in place now, and so maybe we'll be able to get that done, and then we'll see. I have a bunch of other stuff to do as well. I did get through a bunch of stuff last night though, and yeah, some of these other things I'm hoping will be easy to fix. And then, you know, we might be in a good spot where a playtest would be appropriate. So yeah, I think that we'll see what we could do there, but we will see. Anyway, before I get into it, I want to remind everyone that Alchemortis is available for wish listing. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you use alchemy to create your own builds and synergies. If that sounds interesting, give it a wish list. That would help out a lot. You can also support the game on Patreon. There's a couple of nice perks for each tier, but if you subscribe to this top tier for at least 1 month, I will send you an Alchemortis Steam key when the game launches, so you don't need to purchase it on Steam. And I will put your name in the in-game Alchemortis credits. So that's an option available for you if you want to support financially, but you could also support me by purchasing one of my Udemy courses. These will teach you how to build complete games in the Godot engine. It's taught by me. So if you like my style, if you like my teaching style, if you want to learn from a niche e-celeb, this is a good option, and it also helps me out quite a bit. But you could also support by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, following on Twitch, joining the Discord, all that stuff. So yeah, thank you all for your support, and let's get right into it. Good morning, Ninja Link. Welcome. Emerson, good morning to you. Welcome back. Hello, Yeto. Good to see you all. I've been meaning to ask, what is the process of doing jams solo? I remember you doing a GMTK jam, but IDK how you planned it out and shipped a complete game in 3 days as a solo. So some of that is covered. Like I generally do devlogs for all the game jams that I participate in. So you can kind of get a feel for what the process is, but I think it's not that structured of a process, honestly. Like what I usually start with is I just start with like a sketch. I like to do a sketch mock-up with the art style that I want to use, and I try to find a color palette early. And, well, I should back up. Before the jam starts, I usually come up with like 21 sentence ideas. Like I had one idea in one of the previous jams where it's like you're playing as a hammer and you run around on platforms in a construction zone, and like you have this attack where you can like shoot nails at people or something. That was like one of my 1 sentence ideas for one of the GMTK jams or whatever, something like that. So I try to come up with like a bunch of 1 sentence ideas that are all different enough from each other before the game jam starts, so that when the theme gets revealed, I could see if I could fit the theme into one of those ideas. I've kind of like done a little bit of pre-thought with that. But then after I figure out what I want to make, I do the sketching like I told you. Then I usually spend roughly the first day of the game jam just getting the mechanics all in place and playtesting those mechanics and making sure that the idea is going to work. And then, yeah, I mean, it just goes forward from there. If the idea doesn't work, then you enter panic mode and you like try a different idea. But generally speaking, I try to have the game like feature complete by like halfway through the jam, and then I spend the second half of the jam just polishing everything up, adding content if necessary, so on and so forth. So yeah. How do you not get overwhelmed by the workload? I think that's just part of the fun of it. You know, part of the fun of it is knowing going into the game jam that like you're going to be putting in like 16-hour days for a couple days. It's kind of like a marathon, right? Like when you're running a marathon, you're not running that forever, but it is an extended period of time where you're exerting yourself. That's kind of like how game jams are. It's like it is kind of like a voluntary, stressful situation that you impose on yourself. But that's part of the fun, right? Part of the fun is having this very low stakes, like artificial pressure to get this done, where the failure condition is basically, oh, I didn't submit the game. Oh, well, you know. So it's, you know, how do I handle the workload? It's just, that's the thing about game jams is that they teach you very well how to manage scope, how to manage what's important. Like when you know you have to submit your game in 12 hours, it brings into real clarity, real focus, like what's absolutely necessary to do and what's not necessary to do. Hello there, Savior. Welcome back. You're early today. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see you. Good morning from Brazil. I bought your course with C#. Even though I don't know much English, I'm learning. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you, Gusta. Appreciate that. I have a lot of Brazilian viewers. Very, very cool. Brazilians love Godot, I guess. Okay. Mosquito Swarm. Heal for half of total bleed applied since last execution. So I'm hoping that this is going to be... I have like this status... status applied provider. I'm going to rename this status applied provider. Let's rename this to status stacks applied provider. Okay, get status applied since ability execution. Status type. Execution context. E.receiver board equals 2 board. That's fine. Okay, that's probably fine. Actually, I might have to modify this. Get status applied. This should be get status stacks applied. This should also be get status stacks applied. This is a status applied entry. Do I have that? Initiator board. Initiator board is player. So there's a problem with this, which is that I don't want this to track, like if the enemy happens to apply bleed to themselves, I don't want to track that necessarily. So get status stacks applied since ability execution to board, board, by board. Initiator board is equal to by board. I don't know if that's right either, because I could have theoretically, I could have artifacts that apply a status to the enemy. So what I think I want to do is initiator board. Is not equal to 2 board, maybe? Maybe that's what I want to do. So I'm going to need to make this more sophisticated because there may be situations where I do want to count the self status stacks. Now hold up a second. Got a better result the last jam I did because I focused more on polish than content. You love us too, yeah. Yeah, focusing on polish is very important. Like, game jams are all about the first impression, right? And so, like, if you have a choice between stuffing your game jam game with more content or stuffing it with more polish, you should definitely choose the polish, right? It's better to leave players wanting more than to bore the players. So a lot of times, like, for instance, like, you go into a puzzle game in a game jam, right? Or you play a puzzle game that's a game jam entry, and it's got like 50 levels, and it's like, I'm not going to sit here and play all 50 levels of your puzzle game, you know? Like, that's not what a game jam is for. You're not trying to release like a full featured game, right? What you're trying to do is, like, you're just trying to create this very polished demo that demonstrates the game idea that you had for the theme, right? So if you've got a puzzle game, I guess it depends on how long the levels take, but you could just put like 10 levels in your puzzle game that all take, you know, a very small amount of time to complete. But as long as they're introducing new things and new mechanics and the game looks and sounds and feels good to play, that's going to do much better than stuffing your game with 50 puzzle levels. At least that's my opinion. Get status stacks applied. Aggregate across turns. Status stacks applied, sensibility, execution. 2 board, status type. Initiator board is not equal to 2 board. See, the problem is, oh, that's by card. Get damage dealt by card. Get damage taken. Entry, receiver board, 2 board. I think there's kind of like, yeah, there's kind of a problem in here. Okay, well, here's what I'll do. I'll just get rid of this for now. To do, no way to determine in these 2 methods whether stacks were self-damage, applied by artifacts, etc. Might need additional methods. To track this info. Okay. Thank you, AI, for finishing my to-do statement. So we'll just use this for now, that's fine. So get status applied, sensibility, execution. That's going to be statuses applied to the target board of status type. Cool. So now we can go to the mosquito swarm. And what ability we're gaming this? Heal 0.5x of total bleed applied. So let's see. New composed ability. Okay, so we're gonna want var status stacks applied provider. Type of bleed status. I wonder if I should make this, should I make this generic and then do where T extends base status? And then we get rid of this. And then we can we do type of T? Does that work? Or I could alternatively, well, no, that's not gonna work. So we'll just keep it like that. So now what I could do is I could just put bleed status as the generic here. Cool. All right, var value scalar is equal to new value scalar status stacks applied provider. Value scalar dot set multiplier 0.5 const base const float base multiplier is equal to 0.5. Var current multiplier is equal to base multiplier. We'll set this to current multiplier. Var dynamic heal is equal to new dynamic magnitude ability. This will be the value scalar with a new heal 0. Return new ability builder dot ability configuration key heal by bleed applied. Abilities is equal to status stacks applied provider dynamic heal scaling func is equal to tier scalar is equal to ability scalars dot make float additive scalar. Do I want to do that? Let me think. A glass of water gone for your to-do statement, yeah. Hello, Clickertail, welcome. Okay. Do I want to do that? Maybe we'll just do 0.25. Current multiplier is equal to scalar base multiplier tier value scalar set multiplier current multiplier. Okay, and then we want the description func equals heal for let's do current multiplier x of bleed stacks applied since last execution. I'm gonna have to think about how to do this wording, but that's okay. Is alchemizable equals false. And then we can do heal by bleed applied. Alrighty. There's our new innate ability. Now we have to test it. Project settings. Scroll all the way down. Generate test map, training dummy. Test player cards, mosquito swarm. Okay. Hello, Snupbill. Thank you for the IDR 10,000. Very much appreciated. Thank you, thank you. Always good to see you, Snupbill, with the message yummers. Can we get some more yummers in the chat? Let's load up the chat with yummers. Why not? There we go. There we go. Get a yummers train going. Yummers and good morning, Monkey Software. Look at that. Yummers, yeah. All right, let's see if this works. Present. Hello, Wooius. Welcome back. Unfortunately, Wooius has broken the Yummers train, so you may all, I don't know. Never mind. Welcome. Good to see you, Wooius. Good to see you. All right, let's see. Good morning, the malicious rabbit. Where's the ban hammer? Yeah. How dare you interrupt the Yummers train? Anyway. All right, so let's see. Heal for 0.5x of bleed stacks applied to enemies since last execution. So we're going to have to check this out. So that's going to do 5. Oh my gosh. 5. Okay, this is annoying. We got to get rid of the paralysis on the training dummy. We got to get rid of that. I was testing. There was a bug where paralysis was targeting things that were immune to paralysis, and so what it ended up doing is saying in the combat log that it paralyzed something that was immune to paralysis, but the paralysis never took effect. So what I did is I changed the targeting code that when it's doing a query to detect who it should apply paralysis to, it just doesn't even target that item. Now I don't know if that's the right fix, because I think it would be cool to allow the item to receive paralysis, and then if it's immune to paralysis, it can still count the paralysis as received for the purposes of like scaling based off of paralysis, but just like not be affected by it. So I don't know. I have to give 5 copies of Alchemortis. Toss them in the alchemy pot. Hello, welcome back. We shall mourn the train. Apparently I came in 20 seconds too late to get the Yummers order. That's all right. Stuff like every time you negate paralysis, etc. Yeah. So I may want to actually redo that. So consider making immunity to paralysis such that it allows paralysis to be applied, but doesn't take effect for the purpose of scaling with abilities that work or synergize with paralysis. That may actually be the approach that I want to take. So maybe I will take a look at that. Because I'm thinking like if you've got the Fist of Anger, and so you've got this, apply 3 turns of paralysis to 1 random item. It may be useful to just like make your other items immune to paralysis so that you're not getting the downside, but you're still getting the scaling. So yeah, maybe I took the wrong approach to fixing that, but that's all right. We will think about that. There's so many like little rules and interactions to think about. Okay, so that applied 5 bleeds, so we should see like 2 healing or something. Yeah, 2. So I think the numbers round down, but it is applying 2 healing. I actually wonder... Mosquito Swarm dealt 30 damage. Mosquito Swarm dealt 10. How did Mosquito Swarm deal 25 damage? That's kind of weird. So 30 damage, 10 damage, 10 damage, and then it deals 25. Let me take a look at something. I wonder if the bleed is messing that up. Oh gosh. On card executed. Damage context. Entry context by card. Entry context initiator board. So on card executed. Where is this at? On card executed. Okay, here we go. So initiator. Oh, stack entries. Oh. This is coming from the status context. Ah. I wonder if there is... Status stack context. Let's see. Oh, where is that? Status component. Modified context. Apply status. By card execution context initiator board source board. So what may be happening here? I need to think about this. So when I apply bleed, I'm storing a status context that tells me what the card was that applied bleed and how many stacks of bleed it applied, as well as what the initiator board and the receiver board was. But when the bleed actually procs, what it's doing is for each status context in the list of bleed statuses that were applied, it's saying that the damage is being dealt by this card, but I actually don't think that that's appropriate, actually. The bleed was applied by the card by status type. I wonder if I should, so there's a couple of options here. I think this buy card should be null. I think that anything that results, any damage that is applied as a result of a status needs to be just not by a card because it's a status. Now the question is that going to break everything else? Oh, that's fire. That's okay. So if I go to my fire status, I think this has to be null. I'm kind of worried that that's going to break things. Is by status type used? I think this has to be null. Because it's not the card that's dealing damage. Oh, wait. Let's give the training dummy holy and just see what happens here. ability builder dot holy. I need to get this whole damage tracking system under control because it's powering a lot of the abilities, but I don't think that damage that's a result of a status should be tracked to a specific card. Now, I may want to know that information, like which card triggered the damage at some situation or in some situations, but I think that by card should only represent yeah. So I think what was happening before is that whenever that bleed damage procced, because it was being attributed to the mosquito swarm, that was increasing this damage. So this should really be doing 20 damage on the third execution, but I was seeing it do 25 and then 30 damage. And that's because the bleed damage that was being applied by the training dummy, or that was being received because of the training dummy attacking, was being attributed as damage that was dealt by the mosquito swarm card. But I don't think that's accurate. Now, the question is that going to break anything else? I don't think so. Why don't enchants grant damage as well, like 5 true damage or 5 burn? Yeah, we could do that. I mean, there's certainly room to do a lot more with the enchants, so like obviously it's not final. So we can definitely add just like enchants that add damage or whatever. That's fine. If something is immune, you wouldn't expect it to be considered applied. Right, yeah. So that's that. I guess that was kind of my reasoning with just making paralysis immunity, like make it not receive paralysis at all. Is that if it's immune to paralysis, it shouldn't even be a candidate. I mean, I could see the argument both ways, right? It's immune to paralysis, it gets targeted by a paralyze, but then the paralyze does nothing. Or paralysis immunity just makes it not a candidate for paralysis to be applied to it. So I could see it both ways, honestly. All right, well, I hope I didn't break anything, but add mosquito swarm and fix status damage tracking. Okay. Anyway. Archangel, make healing ability based on holy and make holy stronger and innate. So we'll do that one. So I think the Archangel does have, yeah, it's got this. Oh, I can say is alchemizable equals false here. Get rid of this. So we were going to do something like, what was it? The Archangel healing ability based on holy. So we're going to make the holy stronger and innate. And then we'll give it a healing ability. var stacks applied provider, status stacks applied provider. What the heck? Status stacks, what? Why is this not working? Oh, I forgot to rename the class. Okay. There we go. New value scalar status stacks applied provider. We'll just do the same kind of scaling that we did. Heal for... This should just be current multiplier. Maybe that should become a percentage instead of X, but that's all right. Applied. Yeah, I gotta figure out the wording for that, but that's okay. Heal based on holy. Okay. Let's see what that does. Having separate damage logs for the player and enemy boards might help when inspecting stuff. Yeah, the combat log is going to be overhauled at some point. I'm not sure if splitting them is the proper thing to do, because I think I want to do something more along like a timeline view, where you can see like the timeline of turns, and then like it calls out very specifically like what happened on this turn, and like, I don't know. I have some ideas for it. It definitely needs to be made clearer. Oh, that shouldn't be innate. Why is that innate? I don't want this to be innate. I don't want that to be innate. So this is going to apply 10 holy. Then this should heal for 5, I think. It did not heal. Oh, it's probably targeting the wrong thing. Public bool for target board. Oh no. For source board. And then we got to change this in here. Okay. This is why we test. Currently, after a while, it turns into I have no idea what's happening, but this is hitting the dopamine receptors, right? Yeah, and I don't know. It's going to be quite a challenge to make the combat log a little bit more easy to read. Because I mean, there's not enough space here either, so a more detailed combat log may actually have to end up being like a panel or a screen, and then there could just be like the abbreviated combat log here. I don't know. It's going to be quite a challenge, that's for sure. Okay, that's working. So it applied 10 holy, healed 5. It should heal 5 again on the next turn. Yep, it healed 5. Healed 5. Healed 5. Very cool. Okay. So add another innate ability to Archangel. Okay, so now we just need an innate ability for the mayor, and then we'll be done with those innate abilities. That would be much clearer. If you do a full battle summary page, it'd be nice to see the stats of all your cards for the fight. Yeah, so I think the idea with the timeline view... Yeah, I just think, yeah, I don't know, that's going to be a very, very hard UX problem. I think I'm capturing all the data that would be necessary to do like a timeline view. But yeah, there's just a big question of like what that looks like and how do I present the information. Anyway, I know it's a little bit early, but just give me a quick 3-minute break. I'll be right back. We'll finish up the innate ability and then we'll figure out, I got a to-do list here, so we'll do something off the to-do list. But again, we're getting very close to maybe making another playtest available. So yeah, definitely. Well, we'll work towards that. But anyway, I'll be right back in 3 minutes and we'll continue on. Okay, I'm back. You could always allow items to target paralysis immune items and then in the logs just have a unique message saying it failed. That way it still scales items that scale off of executions, while the immune item is able to disrupt the flow of abilities and user knows what happened. Yeah, I think that, well, I mean, that's what I would have to do if I made it. Made paralysis still able to target paralysis immune items. So yeah, it's just, yeah, lots to think about, I guess. Lots to think about. Anyway, what should we do? What should we do with the mayor's innate ability? It's applying armor. Projects to adjacent allied items, heal 2. Apply 8 armor. So what do we want to do here? What do we want to do here? I'm trying to think of like an interesting ability. I'm thinking... Do you have a way to account for the boss's large amounts of empty ability slots going unused for the enemies? No, I think the empty ability slots, I mean, maybe it looks a little bit weird, but I think for maybe enemy cards, I could either hide that. I mean, the tricky thing is that the player can acquire enemy items. And so I guess, like, I don't want to give the player the impression that an enemy card doesn't have any empty ability slots, because the player can't acquire enemy items. Oh, that's a good relic idea, by the way. Artifact ideas. Enemy items can appear whenever cards are available. Something like that. Although that wouldn't work for shops, but... Oh, it wouldn't. That actually wouldn't work at all. Well, maybe it would, actually. I have to think about that. The other thing that I was thinking of... No, immortality. Okay. I need to fix this too. I had this as a shower thought this morning. Immortality Elixir will not display alternative art if it's used and loaded from save. Anyway, hello Arion, welcome back. Good to see you. I'm doing well, how are you? We got to think of a mayor boss ability. Maybe, I don't know, thinking doing something with armor. Did my suggestion not go through? I don't see your suggestion, no. No, I don't see your suggestion anywhere. Thinking about doing something with armor. But let's see, Wooius, if you want to put your suggestion in again and see if that works. We'll see. We will see. So maybe something with armor though. I was thinking apply. Maybe something interesting like apply 20 armor if at least, 40 damage was taken, whatever. Commanding shout, advance all cards turns by 1. We could do something like that, yeah. That would be a good one. I'm just waiting to see if Wooius... Oh, Mayor could be sporadically change the rules of battle, like making a new law. No fire damage for X turns, healing halved, etc. Yeah, I mean, that is an interesting idea. That would require quite a few technical changes, though. Although I do kind of like that idea. Maybe it can be... Maybe the mayor can be kind of like the grimoire in a sense. So the grimoire will just randomly do an ability every turn. So kind of building off what you said, Wooius, instead of like changing the rules, maybe he's just got like 3 abilities that he can do at random. Or maybe it's like 3 abilities that all have different conditions or something. Yeah, it's a cool idea. It's just that kind of stuff would require some pretty significant technical changes. Like if I said, oh, well, fire can't be applied, I need to hook into all the places where cards would be executing. I'd have to check that condition. I'd have to find a way to display that condition to the player so they know what's happening. Would have to log that in the combat log probably. And all of that just for like 1 ability, right? So you know what, I might just do the armor idea actually. I was thinking about making him apply armor if he takes at least some amount of damage. So var damage taken provider is equal to new damage taken provider. Damage type dot physical. var, let's do var shield is equal to new. Let's just do 20 or something like that. Conditional apply shield is equal to new conditional ability decorator shield damage taken provider dot get value. Damage threshold. So damage taken provider, conditional apply shield. Let's do is alchemizable equals false here. So the current shield, let's do var scalar is equal to ability builder dot get ability scalars dot get shield scalar. Current shield is equal to scalar base shield tier. Current shield is equal to, oh wait, we already did that. Shield dot set base magnitude current shield. Okay. Apply current shield armor if damage threshold was taken since last execution. Something like that. I don't know. Let's see if that works. Let's also do the training dummy. Ability builder damage. What did I set the damage threshold at? 25? Okay. Apply 20 armor if 25 or more damage was taken since last execution. Let's try that. Ooh. Okay, I think that works. Applied 20 armor, applied 8 armor. All right, that seems to work. And just as a final test, we'll just put this damage back down to 1 and make sure that it's not going to trigger the armor. I'm pretty sure it won't, but it doesn't hurt to test. Yeah, so that's not applying the 20 armor. It is applying the 8 armor though. Cool. All right, that seems to work. Okay, so I think we've added innate abilities to all of the large items now. So we can move on. Let's just fix this one. Immortality elixir will not display alternative art if it is used and loaded from save. So let's turn off ignore save file. Well, we can keep this as it was, I suppose. Delete all these. Nope, not bossmayor.cs. I was about to do the same mistake that I did before. Project settings, debug. Let's see. Okay, we're good there. Okay, so let's just go ahead. Oh, I think I still have the generate test map enabled. No, take me back. Generate test map, turn off training dummy. Enable test player cards, we'll turn that off as well. So I just want to see if I can replicate the issue before I fix it. So let's just do add artifact. What is it called? Immortality elixir. Okay, so I need to die. So let's see if I'll die here. I did not die, cool. Alrighty. Skip that. Come on, I need to die. There we go. So that is used now. So let's just sacrifice this, add item God mode. Okay. Oh, that filled up. Oh, that's wrong. So that's being used there. Interesting. But when I beat this combat, it's being refilled. I don't know if this is working the way that I wanted it to. I don't think I want it to refill if you win that combat that it was used on. Let's put a breakpoint there. This is not working the way that I intended it to work, so we've fixed that, and we'll also fix the save file issue. Hopefully. So we'll go here. Is used equals true, is refillable equals false. Okay, then it goes up, and now it's going to do this again. If is used, right, so that works. That's going to take me to the resurrection. Do this, put this on the board. Is refillable. What is my current is refillable value? False. Interesting. So wait, that is working. Hold on a second. Was it just on the first combat that it wasn't working? Gonna have to try this again, sorry. We'll get it working. Add artifact, immortality, elixir. Add item, god mode. I might as well do add item, poison, heal. Oops. Oh, add artifact. Artifact, poison, heal. Okay. All right, so hopefully this... So it's healing me here. Is used, is refillable. Okay. Is refillable because true return. Okay, so that's working. Right, okay, so now we've got the save file. So if I go load the game up again, it should not be displaying the... Yeah, so it's not displaying the proper art, but it is saying that it's exhausted here, so that's good. All right, I don't know what I was seeing before. I thought there was a bug, but maybe not. Anyway, if is used, display alternative art. So we'll just add that extra line in the set state there. And there we go. Now it's showing as empty. So I'll go here, win this. That's refilled now. Sell that. Okay, the game is saved. I go back here. Okay, I think we're good now. Hello, V, welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, one fix at a time. Anyway, the card tooltip is not showing debuffs. That's kind of a problem, I think. This ability change tooltip, though, I want to fix this for sure, because this is a little bit misleading. Let me change, let me do ignore save file. And then we're going to add, get rid of this. Whip, maggot, pumpkin patch, that's fine. Let's just do honey, alka-hest. Let's do flint and also bat head. And we'll throw a skeleton warrior in there for good measure. So I think this tooltip is wrong. I'll show you the tooltip here. So if I do, enable test player cards. So if I do, let's say, This item will gain 0 abilities. This item will gain 1 ability. This item will gain 2 abilities. This item will gain 1 ability. Is it not wrong? So it's gaining 1 ability. We'll have 1 ability replaced. We'll have 2 abilities replaced. We'll gain 2 abilities. Maybe it is right. I don't know what I was seeing. I could have fixed the issue because I was having a problem with the ability slot calculation. So it may have, fixing that ability slot calculation may have fixed this tooltip. This tooltip was previously saying, like, for example, in here, it would have said this item will gain 3 abilities. And I'm like, what? There's only 2 empty ability slots. But I found out what was happening is that, so the way that the ability slots works is that it gets a number of ability slots typically equal to the number of cells that it occupies, but for every 3 cells, it gains an additional slot. So that means that the whip here naturally has 4 ability slots. But there was a weird situation happening where if I use the gemstone to add an ability slot, let's say to like something that had 2 ability slots like this one, it was adding that 3rd ability slot, and then because it says, oh, I have 3 ability slots now, it was adding another one. So the skeleton warrior would end up with 2 additional ability slots rather than just the extra one. So I changed that calculation, and now I'm wondering if that change actually resolved the bug with this tooltip. Maybe the tooltip was always correct and it was just revealing that ability slot bug, but I'm not seeing. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything happening here. Anyway, maybe we'll just call that a non-issue then, because when only reagents are added, let's try that, I guess. So let's do alkahest, this. It should detect the abilities being removed here, but that's a specific alkahest thing. Well, I can't reproduce that issue, so I guess we'll just keep an eye on it, but I'll delete that for now. Gotta love those bugs that are not bugs, I guess. Items that scale based off of damage dealt, yeah. Add more reagents to reward flows. Consider making immunity to paralysis such that allows paralysis to be applied. Okay, so the next thing is to add more reagents to reward flows. So right now it's only possible to get reagents from the reagent. Actually, you know what? So it's only possible to get reagents from this alchemical reagents event. But, so I was thinking, oh, maybe it would be nice to add reagents to, like, just as combat rewards too. But when I was doing my playtest, I actually felt like I had plenty of reagents. So I don't know actually if I still want to change this. I actually feel like I was getting quite a few reagents, so I actually don't know. Card count 3, additional card count. Let me try something here. So I should be getting 3 reagents down here. What's the Kanban you're using? It's Obsidian with the Kanban community plugin. Welcome. I don't know how to say your name, I'm sorry, but welcome back. Good to see you. Three reagents there. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's probably fine, honestly. I will also just not do that one because I'm not just trying to avoid work here. I mean, avoiding work is great, but after I made a bunch of changes to like the combat balancing, like the difficulty score is different now in terms of how it calculates the score. And I also rebalanced the frequency of a bunch of different node types on the map. And so when I was doing the run, which I shared in the Discord server where I was using the Skeleton Dragon, I actually felt like I was getting plenty of reagents. So I don't think it's actually necessary to add reagents as rewards for other things. Maybe there's an opportunity to have an artifact for that, like combat encounters will reward reagents or something. So maybe that's like a nice middle ground, is like that's not the default behavior, but if you're the kind of person that wants to just be awash in reagents, then maybe that's the way to do it. Yeah, I think I like that. That's a nice middle ground. So reagents are only acquirable from the reagent event until you get an artifact that changes the rules a little bit. Hello, Junie, welcome back. All right, let's take a look at card tooltip not showing debuffs. Again, I'm wondering if there's a reason why I was doing this, but positive. So we've got, let's go to the card inspector. Buff label placeholder, debuff label placeholder. So I probably want these things here. And those happen before everything else. So we'll put this there. The card tooltip and the card inspector are very similar to each other. So hopefully I can just do this. Do this. This just becomes card. Explained ability types. We don't need the explanations because those are not shown there. All right, so then let's grab the debuff and buff label placeholders from here. Okay. I think that's fine. And then we'll go ahead and go back to the generate test map training dummy there. Let's put paralysis back on the training dummy just so I can see that this works. And then let's just put composed 2 here as well. All right, let's see what happens. So now when I hover over a card that has an active buff or debuff, that should show up in the card tooltip as well. I remember that was confusing me why it wasn't doing that, so let's just see. Oh, that's not working. Oh, that exhausted. Okay, well, it's showing exhausted now, which is good. But let's just change that. We're getting there. The game is getting there. I think we're very, very close to being able to do another playtest. I do want to take another crack at making the game a little bit less bursty. Oh, it's not applying paralysis because it's not a minion. Oh, it was only one turn of paralysis too, so I'm okay. I'm pretty sure this is going to work, but I just want to make absolutely sure. I think what I might want to do is maybe we'll do one of those new artifacts that we wrote down here, because my to-do list is getting pretty small, and I think most of these things are, yeah, just things that I need to work through. I'm also going to want to do investigate improving, what was it? Status stacks history methods to allow filtering by self applications, enemy applications, artifact applications, etc. But that's something that I'll have to do off stream, I think, because that's just going to be me digging through that freaking turn history system. Anyway, let's see if this works. Okay, paralyzed, 9 turns, 7 turns. So the tooltip is not going to update, obviously, but as long as I hover over it while it's under that state, I'll get a snapshot of what's happening. So, all right, that seems to work. I'm okay with that. That one's done. All right, let's do one of these artifacts. I kind of want to do this reagent one, actually. Combat encounters reward 1 additional reagent. So let's do this. Artifact content. Okay. All right, so we'll do that, and then we'll see how that looks. But I'm going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we will do the art for that reagent. We'll do the code for that reagent. The tricky thing, or maybe not tricky, but one thing that we're going to have to account for is the RNG. So I think it should be okay, but basically, like, we don't want to, again, we're trying to preserve the integrity of like a seeded run, so that if you get this artifact, if 2 players are on the same seed and they both get this artifact, that means that they should get the same reagent when they beat the same combat encounter. I think that will be doable because the RNG object is isolated to that combat encounter. So if we just do another step where we pick X number of reagents from the card loot table, I think it'll just work, but we'll have to see. But anyway, I'll be right back in just a couple minutes and we will get going on that. Okay, let's get started on this artifact. I actually have a perfect idea for it. We're gonna make it a little sapling. Little sapling. Assets, artifact, artifacts.asebright. Lock this. Sapling. Okay. So do something like this. Okay. It does need to be 3 away from the borders. At least 3 away from the borders. We'll fix the colors here in a second. I'm just getting the shape down. Trying to get the shape down anyway. Okay. That's probably good. Yeah, that'll work. And then we gotta figure out what to do about this here. Try to make it look like a mound of dirt in some way. I may actually I might have to use the same colors, which is a little bit unfortunate, but yeah, it's not super separated from the background if I do this. Maybe it's okay. Yeah, the colors seem a little bit weird to me, but maybe that's okay. Okay. Yeah, I just don't know about this section here. Also, is this 3 pixels? It is, okay. Yeah, I almost wonder if just maybe something like this looks a little bit better. I think that can probably work. No. Yeah, I think that's, I mean, I guess I shouldn't spend too much time on this, but yeah, that's probably all right. Anyway, how are we feeling about that? I think it's decent. I think it's decent. Okay, let's go ahead and create that artifact script now. artifact resource sapling. Okay. Combat encounters award 1 additional reagent. Looks good to me. All right, awesome. Okay, so now let's go to the scripts, create new file. Okay. Okay, var saplings is equal to artifact manager.get artifact count by ID. I'm actually going to need to probably build and then do the ID constants generator. What? Okay. Artifact ID.sapling. Actually, I wonder... Maybe I should actually do them as guaranteed, because otherwise you'd have to choose one instead of getting the reagent. So maybe what I'll do instead is we'll return this. I still do need to get... Let's do this. Let's do public base card, get additional overflow cards. So let's do var sapling count is equal to artifact manager get count by ID. If sapling count is equal to 0, we're just going to return an empty array. Otherwise, we're going to return count equals sapling count. Allow duplicates, we'll just do true here. Target tier we don't care about. Reagent configuration, we basically want this actually, so I'll just copy and paste this here. Yeah, with tags, card tag reagent, okay. So now in my run manager, get reward cards, card overflow, manager.add cards, add cards to overflow, combat configuration.get additional overflow cards. Okay. Enable test player artifacts. We're going to do sapling here. Test player artifacts is on. Okay, let's see if that works. So I've got the sapling here. Cool. Add item God mode. Take all these, I don't care. Just get me into combat. I want some blood. Okay, so I'll get my default combat choice here. And then I get my reagent there, and that's it. So I want to make sure that this is seeded properly. Also, let's add another sapling here. Let's turn off ignore save file. And then let's go ahead and go here. Delete the save file there. All right, so let's see. So I'm just going to test that I get the same reagents every time. I should. I think it's going to work the way that I want it to work, but we'll just make sure. Okay, we'll grab one of these. Okay, so I've got the stonemason's chisel and a gemstone. So I'll restart the game. We should get those same exact ones there. Okay. There we go. Perfect. And that sapling count is working. Awesome. Cool. All right. I think that we can call that done. Actually, let me just make sure. Add cards to overflow. Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay. All right, cool. Excellent. All right, that's going to be it for the stream today. I have to do these things this afternoon, but I have to go run some errands as well. So I got to go get going on that. But yeah, it depends on how it goes today. Maybe we'll do a stream this afternoon, a little fun stream where I just add some new content, because I haven't been adding content in a while. Like, I haven't added many new cards or artifacts or reagents or anything. So I'm itching to get back into some content development. So keep an eye on the Discord. I'll let you know there when I go live. You can join the Discord that's linked in the description below. You can also wishlist Alchemortis on Steam if you're interested. It's a dark fantasy roguelite auto battler where you can use alchemy to create your own builds and synergies. So yeah, we'll work really hard toward getting a playtest out here shortly. I think the game is in a relatively good spot. I mean, it's certainly in a good enough spot to get some feedback on it. So I think maybe that'll kind of be my goal for this week, is to get everything buttoned up and get a playtest ready. So yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for being here, and appreciate all of your support. And I'll see you in the next stream, whether it's this afternoon or tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Okay, bye-bye everyone. Have a good day.